is Dave. It is Duncan back from Metal Epidemic for another album review. For this review, Duncan and I have been checking out the new release from Swedish doom rock legends Witchcraft. The band's new album, Idag, will be released on May 23rd via Heavy Psych Sounds. If I have mispronounced that, blame it on the internet.
I thought it was like an Apple product or something, an Idag. That's what I've been walking around saying.
Idag.
Checking out that Idag. What? I'll tell you right now.
Well, I mean, it's a guess. It's a guesstimate, really. We'll see. The band can confirm or deny if that is.
I don't think the band will. You've either hit it and they're like that, they understand, and I've upset them, or you pronounced it wrong and they refuse to watch the rest of the video. Yeah. So either way, we're fine.
Yeah,
we're fine.
We're fine. More than 20 years after their debut, Witchcraft's 7th album is an awaited full accounting of who they are as a band. Those who have clamoured for the return to an earlier sound rooted in 70s classic progressive and heavy rock will delight to the strut of irreligious flamboyant flame, while the 8-minute opening title track is the heaviest the band have ever sounded, and a succession of interspersed acoustic bass pieces helps create a vision of a new soulfully folkish doom taking shape as they continue to move inexorably forward. Founding guitarist vocalist Magnus Palander says this album will reap souls and destroy wicked minds, and perhaps mend a couple of broken ones. These enigmatic few words from the Swedish band's main songwriter gives clues as to the song's intentions. A reference dropped to Coven's 1969 album, Witchcraft Destroys Minds and Reaps Souls. Coven also had a folkish proto-doomed take at that point in their history, and that multifaceted nature has been a part of Witchcraft all along. On one level, Magnus is winkingly telling you it's a Witchcraft record. The actual meaning of that becomes clear when you hear the album and find out just how much a Witchcraft record can encompass. Whatever they've done in the past and whatever they'll do in the future, Idag feels like a nexus for defining who and what Witchcraft are. After his 2020 acoustic experiment Black Metal, Palander has tapped into transcendence and delivers pure proto-metal sorcery woven through 70s prog wizardry, and with a few acoustic whispers here and there, this is Witchcraft at their most spell-binding. Idag, which means today in Swedish, was recorded and engineered by Johan Elander, Philip Saxon and David Storm, produced by Magnus Palander, and then mixed and mastered by David Storm. So, album number 7 from Witchcraft. I've been active now about 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Kind of nuts. But like, I was also thinking when I was listening to this, what a year it is to be a doom or stoner fan. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, like, it's getting a bit of traction now. It's a shame that it's taken like some musicians 70 odd years to get that traction via social media. But yes, if you're in a doom stoner / metal band at the moment, it appears that the stars are aligning for you right now. Yeah. And also, as a reviewer, it's music to my ears because it's a genre for easily now 15 years I've been heavily passionate about, and very late to the party, but it's great to see that there's a lot of new bands paying homage to the greats, but then there's some stalwart entries from bands who you forget how long Witchcraft have been on the go. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if you see them, they still look relatively young.
Yeah.
So is that like nice sunshine, healthy eating, and Swedish genealogy that just kind of makes you age slowly?
Yeah, so, for sure. Like we're in May just right now, and so far, like this year, every month there's been like a handful of really like big hitters, like big names, you know, in the kind of doom and stoner kind of realms. So, and now we've got a Witchcraft album to add to that list as well.
This year is not out like
no
down of them are to be releasing an album this year, which may just make me shit my pants. So.
Quite possibly. Like it'd been a minute since I'd listened to Witchcraft. Like we spoke about their 2012 album.
Was it Legend?
Legend, yeah. When we were reviewing for our previous site, Rock and Roll Reviews.
That was the first time they properly came on my radar.
Yeah,
so
same.
Yeah, so like I was aware of the name, but I would be lying if I said I'd heard anything by the band. So
yeah, I think it's probably still, like, because of that reason, because it was my introduction, it's probably still one of my favourites.
It's really good.
It's such a strong album. I don't think I actually they released one in 2016. Was it Nucleus? I think it was called.
Yes, Nucleus,
I don't think I actually heard that at the time when it came out.
It's really good. Yeah. I don't think it's as good as Legend, but it's good.
Their 2020 album though, Black Metal, what a fucking album that was. Like, really absolutely loved that. Quite different to how Witchcraft would usually sound. It is basically an acoustic album, really.
Yeah, but if you're 20 years into your career, you can afford to drop a different.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? You can at that point you built up enough goodwill with your fans. You can be like, that acoustic number, lads.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, and it paid off. Like, I absolutely love that album. It's for me, it's up there with their best releases. The new album though, and this is an interesting one, Duncan. I have things to say about this new Witchcraft album. Let me tell you. It's also worth saying the first half of this album is performed in the band's native Swedish tongue.
Yeah.
This is apparently, according to the press, this is the first time they've ever done this. Also out with that acoustic album from 2020. This might be their shortest album to date, at just over 40 minutes. But
you love a foreign tongue on an album. It's one thing Davey loves, dear listeners out there.
Sarcasm, I hear.
Yeah, the one thing that Davey loves is sarcasm. So strap in and get ready for it. Dave loves foreign language music. Adores it. Like, I've never come across someone who is so vehemently against foreign language music. And I understand. No, I don't even understand. I like, to me, like, someone could be reading the phone book. If they're passionate about it, it resonates with me. It doesn't need to make sense for like that. But for you, it has to make sense.
Yeah. I like to know what they're singing about, what they're talking about. Like, so I'll get into that though. Let's say
they're singing about Idag.
Idag, yeah. Of course they are.
Come on.
Of course they are. Yeah, so like about 40 minutes, just over 40 minutes. However, don't feel like that's like them shortchanging you, because although there are like kind of shorter tracks on here, there are also tracks that run like over 6 minutes, over 8 minutes. Yeah, for sure, yeah. So there's still like plenty of variety in that kind of the lengths. And variety is the key word here, to be honest, about this album. Could be the most varied Witchcraft album I've heard. It's almost, it's like a kind of greatest hits almost, like in that they are like kind of pulling sounds from all eras of the band, from that like the occult rock stuff from their self-titled, to the more kind of progressive leanings of like Firewood or The Alchemist, and then starting to get heavier, more doom laden on like Legend and Nucleus, right up to the acoustic stuff they did on their most recent album, Black Metal. And I think, like, when I heard it, I was like, I think Witchcraft fans will have a blast with this, because there's almost something for everyone, regardless of what your favourite Witchcraft album
wherever
is.
you've come into finding this band, the band's got you on this album.
Yeah. I didn't know about the Swedish language on the first half of the album. I did not realise that going into this. So when it kicked off, I was like, oh, okay, right, we're doing a little track in Swedish, are we? Oh no, we've done a whole half album.
I could read the track list in here and see that half of it is in Swedish and half of it, but I'm not going to do that.
I never even put two and two together.
I'm paid to lead, not read.
I'm a bit of a weirdo when it comes to bands singing in their native tongue.
Tracks, bands singing their native tongue.
I'm an uncultured swine, Duncan. That's what I'm. I don't know. I think it's to do with the connection. Like, as I said, I like to know what a song is about, because if I can relate to it in some way or understand what the context is behind it, then I can usually connect with it more.
You fucking hate opera. I've just realised
Yeah.
that you would
Fuck
hate
that.
opera.
Yeah.
What is this Italian bird singing about? And why is she crying? Like, what's going on here?
No idea. So I'll be honest and say that apart from like Googling to translate what the titles of the tracks meant, I had pretty much no idea what the songs were about. The first half of the album anyway. Musically and vocally though, like they're very cool. There's plenty of good stuff in here. There's plenty of big doomy riffs. Like that first track is huge. There's like they've injected it with, as I said, like occult rock stuff and touches of prog. And like as always, Magnus and his melodies are great. Like the hook on track 2, which translates to Dreams of Ice. I'm not going to pronounce the Swedish titles. Is absolutely killer. Like there was a real kind of like kind of graveyard-esque kind of hookiness.
Huge graveyard vibe on this. I'm loving it.
That came right through in that track. The bass as well. The bass was one thing that really caught my ear on this. It is just absolute filth. Like just really big tone, really dirty, really in your face. And actually the transition from that track into track 3, The Dream of Death and Decay, it works really well. It's soaked in that kind of retro vibe again, very, very 70s. Like it could have been recorded in the 70s, to be honest. The following 2 tracks are much more intimate, stripped back just to like kind of guitar and vocals on track 4, and then just an acoustic guitar on track 5, which closes out the first half of the album in this kind of gradually kind of slowed down way. I will admit, on my first listen to the album, I was like, oh, okay, those 2 tracks, I like the tracks, but I was on the fence about the placement of tracks 4 and 5 on my first listen. On kind of multiple listens of the album later, I do still think I've come around to it, but I still think that Om Duville, track 4, which it works well. I think it works well enough on its own that it could have been like a closing piece to side 1 without that kind of extra acoustic bit on track 5, but that's just me. But yeah, as I said, the more I listened to it, the more I started to come round to it. But the first listen, I was like, all right, okay, unsure. Side 2 kicks off in like a massive way with Burning Cross, which is just like huge kind of bluesy, kind of doom-soaked riffs, loads of wah guitar, some really great moments in that track where things get a bit more relaxed and those kind of psychedelic traits start to shine through. Absolutely killer track. Irreligious Flamboyant Flame is another kind of standout, where they push a bit more of that kind of blues rock, and they kind of let loose a little bit on the composition. Like it feels a little bit more kind of freestyle. The bass goes for a walk or two, and it's just like a very like feel good type track. Like when I was listening, it was like I could picture like this being played on like a summer's day at fucking Woodstock or something like that. Like it just had that kind of vibe to it. Track 8 is called Christmas, which comes in next, and it veers back into that kind of acoustic stripped back style, full of character and sounds very authentic.
Have you ever heard any of Charles Manson's music?
No, I have not.
Serial Killer.
No.
Right. What I'm going to say is listen to Christmas. Right.
Uh-huh.
In fact, after this recording,
Right.
we're going to listen to the intro Christmas, and then I'm going to send you a link to some of Charles Manson's music from like the 60s.
Right.
And it is fucking uncanny. Not that I'm saying
right.
like I doubt these guys have ever heard anything that Charles Manson wrote, but it was like I'm, you know me, I like the macabre stuff, I like the serial killer stuff. So I've deep dove in on the stuff that he recorded and never properly released. And goosebumps, man, honestly, listening to it is fucking like the cadence, his voice and everything. Oh man, just talking about it.
It has like an incredible kind of like storyteller voice.
This is we'll get to this. Like stealing my notes now, Dave.
Just like I think like Magnus and an acoustic guitar, I could probably listen to for hours on end. Like just so good. I think that the fact they closed out side 1 of the album with 2 slower, more intimate tracks, that they maybe missed an opportunity to mirror that on side 2 almost. I think they could have switched Christmas with Spirit, track 9, and I feel like there was more of a kind of natural slowing down on Spirit, which could have bridged into Christmas maybe a bit more naturally. Again, the band probably have a very valid reason for ordering the tracks like that. But for me, I kind of felt like it maybe would have flowed slightly better. Because then we have like another acoustic track to finish the album, which is like 44 seconds.
Yeah, it's a like a reimagining shorter version of the fourth track.
Yeah. So I get like the way they finished it. Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Yeah, I mean like well, in fact, production, before I go into the end bit, the production on this album is fucking ace.
Awesome.
Like,
yeah.
I love the production of this. It is so retro and natural. Like, the bass is particularly awesome. I mentioned it's just got such a thick tone. Almost like there's moments where they're playing that the bass almost like touches the kind of the red of the faders. You know, you can imagine it just kind of clipping it a little bit, but it feels like almost the driving force behind the album in a lot of the tracks as well. But across the board, I thought like the mix is great. Like the drum tones have that kind of like small room sound, quite dry but full sounding. The vocals are just like cutting through everything, and the guitars have got that nice kind of vintage resonance to them. Loved it. Like the actual sound of the album's like brilliant. Yeah, like as I said, this is a very incredibly varied album. It pulls from like all of the Witchcraft back catalogue. There wasn't anything like I disliked here. The placement of a couple of tracks didn't totally make sense to me. And the Swedish language tracks, I mean, I liked them. The melodies were cool, but I had no idea what they were about. So I think I maybe clicked more with the second half of the album to the first. But those kind of like small gripes aside, if you're a Witchcraft fan, then there's no way you don't enjoy this. Like the songwriting, the quality of the songs are excellent across the board. What about yourself? What did you think? What did you make of this?
Yeah, this was a welcome return for the band for me. You mentioned before we're getting kind of spoiled at the moment, but even then on top of it, in the time that we have been doing Metal Epidemic, Graveyard have returned as well and released that absolutely fucking stellar return, which saw the band kind of go back to a more kind of tradish recording style and feel and vibe. And Witchcraft have always kind of, weirdly, the country folk that they are, there's always been that kind of crossover between the two bands in different ends of the spectrum, where Witchcraft kind of, in my eyes, absorb a lot more of the kind of the UK kind of / British, like kind of stoner doom sound. Graveyard orientate themselves more to the American kind of interpretation of that from the 70s. Yeah. So you get like there's always been synchronicity between the two bands, but there's a clear divide between them in the same way that, you know, bands in the UK in the 70s that were playing stoner and doom metal didn't sound exactly the same as the American equivalent. But there are, like, you listen to Burning Cross could be on a Graveyard album. You know what I mean? It's, you know, as Graveyard vocals with Black Sabbath riffs. It's really, 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 really bizarre. But in a great way. Unlike you, I don't read the press, so like I read the track titles though before I hit play. So I did have a feeling when I saw that there was a switch in language that maybe this was a kind of one for us, one for you sort of thing. I also assumed, because you've got me thinking in everything in vinyl now, that one side would be a Swedish side and one side would be an English language side. Don't know if that is their plan. If it is, it's quite a smart one. I also thought it was really bold opening with an 8-minute track. I mean, you and not that, the title track. Here we are, and Idag, I think is how you pronounced it.
I think so.
Is a phenomenal opener. I think it's the track that sets the stall for the album, because you get a little bit of everything. There are quieter, more acoustical moments structured alongside those heavier, bluesier, doomier synths. And the music writing on it is incredible. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with the PR statement that it's the heaviest thing the band's ever done.
Yeah, same.
I get where they're going. I think it's a very ambitious track. I don't think, to my memory, I can't remember any track the band's done that maybe incorporates so much in a track. So if they're talking conceptually, yes, it probably is the heaviest thing they've ever done. If they're talking musically, I think myself and the band would probably argue against that.
Yeah.
The Swedish half is really interesting because you essentially continually drop down in heaviness.
Yeah.
So, like Idag opening it, and then Drummer Av maybe whatever. I don't know why I'm doing this bit because I guarantee I will get it wrong. Is kind of more kind of traditional Witchcraft sound, but you know it's much more shorter, compact, kind of single length. Track 3, which I definitely won't pronounce, kind of continues that like kind of lessening of the heaviness. So when you get to tracks 4 and 5, you're getting still a nominal kind of relaxing down. Tracks 4 and 5, you mentioned like the kind of storyteller vibe that Magnus has as a vocalist. Those are the 2 tracks to me that sounded like Round a Campfire. You know, like around the campfire, let me sing you a folk song. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. Let me tell you a story about these mountains behind us and the creatures that lived within them. It's fucking awesome, man. Like, good set of headphones. Like the production, you can hear every slight scrape on the guitar. It's fucking incredible. Really, really warm, really rich sounding, really vibrant. And then Burning Cross, being the second half of the album, kicks in with a big old slap of doomy blues. It's kind of fucking awesome, and it's a great track as well. It once again starts off really strong. It's a 5-minute banger. And instead of trying to drop things down, track 7 kind of continues that on that flamboyant flame, so to speak. It's all over it. It's the band having fun. It's like you mentioned it before. Musically, the band are like going for a bit of walk. They're having some fun. They're taking their time with it. Christmas is an incredible song. I don't know if I'd fully agree about switching them around, but then I've listened to the album like 6 times now, so I'm maybe in a position that I like the order. I do think it's an interesting choice making the 2 last songs equivalent to essentially a quarter of the album. So I think even if you did switch them, they go for quite a length. I'm not sure what they get of it. What I do think, and I'm kind of with you on this one, is I think they missed a trick on revisiting the closing 2 tracks again as reimagined versions. I would have loved, because Homme de Ville is shortened from 2.5 minutes down to like 45 seconds. I love the reimagining of it. I kind of also would have loved to heard Langton or Glangton or however they pronounce it extended out, like doing an inverse of it. I think that would have been a real, but once again, this is me, like the guy who didn't write the album, who, you know, can't play guitar and isn't as talented as Witchcraft, trying to tell Witchcraft what I would have done, which I'm sure they're over the moon with, having spent fucking, you know, years crafting this. There you go, guys, free advice. Production on this is so good right now. We really are being spoiled with that kind of doom production. At the moment, that ability to capture that kind of analogy retro sound, you know, like you could almost be for a mistake. You were talking about the bass player at times almost hitting the red on it, and like in my head we're in a nicotine smoked room, which is all beigey brown colours, while lava lamp maybe in the corner, and as it's heading up to the red there. Fucking sound engineer ain't panicking. He's pulling that fader down just a little bit and wiping the cigarette ash off the console while he's at it. It has that aura. Like if you were to find this now, be given this, and someone was to say to you, someone who didn't know who Witchcraft is, that, you know, some record label had found the masters to an unreleased album from the 70s, and you know, some really talented guy had went away and remastered it, and then you could believe it. It's so well put together, very much like yourself. I can't imagine, if you are a Witchcraft fan, there's anything here that's going to upset you. I know the knee-jerk reaction when that acoustic album came out was some people to think that they went soft. I don't know how you got that. I think there's a lot of depth, a lot of soul on that album. And if this is the band course correcting, I think they're course correcting in the smartest possible way by basically revisiting the sounds of Witchcraft through the eras and kind of giving you something that feels like the most complete sound the band has ever had, while still pushing boundaries, but not losing any of the core stuff on here. The runtime also aids it. This is shorter than previous things from the band. So yeah, I don't necessarily... I don't disagree with song placement. I quite like how the first side closes out. I think the second side... I think the two last proper songs, both of them are quite lengthy. So to me, they're not off-putting, but I don't know if I would have done it that way. But once again, who am I to criticise that? It flows really well. I've listened to this 6 times. It's a really, really easy listen for me and plenty to reward you with. So yeah, it was a good fucking time. Yeah. Witchcraft were not on my list of bands to be releasing anything this year. So it's a welcome surprise and one of those ones where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be coming back to this album and a lot more Doom this year than I thought it would be. So
nice. Okay, scores for Idag by Witchcraft. It's a thoroughly enjoyable album. It has a couple of things that I would maybe change about it, but that's just me. Would I put it above like my favourite Witchcraft albums? I don't know. I think I'd still say like Legend and Black Metal. I love that album as well.
Black Metal's a really good album.
I'd put that up as well. So I'd have it just underneath those two possibly. But I'm going to go 4 out of 5 on this one for me. What about yourself? What are you thinking?
I'm swinging in exactly with you. This is a 4 out of 5 for me. I think this is like just a really strong, well-rounded album that kind of makes you want to come back to it.
Yeah. So. Nice. Witchcraft and their brand new album Idag out on May 23rd on Heavy Psych Sounds. Check out the links to the band, the pre-order. There's a single there as well. Have a listen, see what you think. Happy to hear your thoughts and opinions on it. That is a review. Thank you for checking out. We'll be back with another review very soon. But until then, take care. Speak to you soon.
Bye, everyone.